Am I the asshole for threatening to skip my sister's wedding and causing a scene after finding out my parents drained my entire college fund to pay for it? I, 22 male, am currently entering my senior year of university for mechanical engineering. It's an intense program. For the last 3 years, I've worked part-time and lived like a hermit to cover my rent and food, specifically so I wouldn't have to touch the bulk of my college fund until my final year. My plan was always to use the fund for my senior tuition and capstone costs, so I could quit my job and focus 100% on graduating with honors. The background: my parents set up college funds for both me and my older sister Sarah, 26F, when we were kids. My grandparents contributed about 50% of the money in those accounts. Sarah is, well, she's the golden child. She's very charismatic but terrible with follow-through. She drained her entire fund 4 years ago on a semester abroad in Italy that turned into a year of partying, followed by a cosmetology program she dropped out of after 3 months. My parents have always bailed her out of debt and smoothed things over for her. I've always been the low-maintenance one. Sarah is getting married in 3 weeks. It's supposed to be a massive, Instagram-worthy event. 3 days ago, I logged into the bank portal to generate the check for my fall semester tuition. The balance was $14.22. There should have been roughly $28,000. I panicked. I thought my identity had been stolen. I called the bank and they told me the funds were transferred out to my parents' joint checking account 2 months ago. I called my dad immediately, shaking, thinking they had been hacked. There was a long silence on the phone before he said, "We need to talk about this in person." I drove home an hour away and sat down with my parents. They admitted they took the money. Apparently, Sarah's dream venue had a cancellation, but they needed a massive upfront payment immediately, plus extra for the high-end caterer she wanted. They didn't have the liquid cash, so they dipped into my fund. Their justification? It's technically our money until you use it. You're smart and employable. You can easily get student loans. Sarah needed this help now. You're going to be an engineer making 6 figures, you'll pay off the loans in no time. Sarah doesn't have that earning potential, and she deserves one perfect day. I lost it. I told them that interest rates are insane right now and that they've effectively saddled me with debt so Sarah can have fancy appetizers. I asked when they planned to pay it back. They admitted they couldn't right now, but promised to help out where they can in the future. I told them that if the money isn't back in the account by Friday, tuition deadline, I am not coming to the wedding. And I also told them I would be letting our grandparents know exactly why I wasn't there. My grandparents would be livid if they knew their contribution was used for a party instead of school. My parents exploded. They called me selfish, manipulative, and a brat for holding my attendance hostage. My mom started crying, saying I was ruining the family image and that if I tell my grandparents, it will cause a war that will destroy Sarah's big day. Sarah sent me a text saying, "I can't believe you're this jealous of me. Grow up." Now my aunts and uncles who don't know the truth are texting me telling me to stop upsetting my mother. I'm starting to feel guilty because my mom is a wreck, but my future feels stolen. It's been 5 days since my last post, and honestly, things have gone nuclear. I want to thank everyone for the comments. Reading them made me realize I wasn't crazy for thinking family helps family doesn't mean family steals from family. Here's what happened. The deadline I gave my parents last Friday came and went. The money was not returned to my account. Instead of a transfer notification, I received a 3-page email from my father. It was incredibly patronizing. He listed out the costs of raising me, braces, summer camps from 10 years ago, food, and essentially argued that the college fund was a privilege, not a right, and that by demanding it back, I was being transactional and ungrateful. He ended it by saying, "We expect to see you at the rehearsal dinner with a smile on your face." I was ready to just pack my bags, go back to my college town, and take out the loans. I was done. I didn't want to blow up the family. But then fate intervened on Saturday morning. My grandmother, my dad's mom, called me. She wanted to know if I had picked up my suit for the wedding yet. and asked if I wanted to stay in their hotel suite the night before to save money on a room. I tried to keep it together, but when she said, "I'm so proud you're almost done with your degree. I know that fund we set up has been put to good use," I just broke. I started sobbing. I told her everything. I told her the account was empty. I told her mom and dad used it for the catering and the venue deposit. I told her I was applying for high-interest emergency loans just to finish my senior year. The silence on the other end of the line was terrifying. She didn't yell. She just asked, "Are you sure?" I sent her a screenshot of the withdrawal transaction history. She said, "I will handle this. Do not answer your phone for an hour." I don't know exactly what happened at my parents' house, but I imagined it was scorched earth. About 2 hours later, I got a notification from my university portal. My tuition balance for the entire year had been paid in full. My grandfather had wired the money directly to the school bursar. He texted me shortly after, "School is paid. Focus on your grades. We will discuss the rest later." Then my phone blew up. My mother called me 14 times in a row. When I finally answered, she was hysterical. Apparently, my grandparents told my parents that the money used for the wedding is now considered an early inheritance and a loan that must be repaid immediately, or they will be written out of the will entirely. My grandfather also threatened to consult his lawyer about the custodial account misuse. I don't think he actually will, but it scared them. My mom screamed that I had humiliated them, that I was a tattletale, and that I'd ruined Sarah's wedding week. She said, "I hope you're happy you've turned your grandparents against us over money." Then Sarah sent me a text I'll probably keep forever. "You are a selfish, jealous prick. You're uninvited. Don't show your face here. I never want to see you again." So I'm not going to the wedding. I'm currently back at my apartment near campus. My tuition is paid, which is a massive relief, but I feel sick to my stomach. My aunt, mom's sister, messaged me saying my mom is looking into legal options regarding me defaming them to the grandparents, which is laughable but shows how desperate they are. I'm safe and school is covered, but I think I've lost my parents and sister for good. It has been exactly a year since everything went down, and I logged back into this account to give a final update for those who messaged me. A quick recap. My parents stole $28,000 from my college fund to pay for my sister Sarah's wedding. When I found out and told my grandparents, who contributed the money originally, my grandparents paid my tuition directly, threatened to disinherit my parents, and I was uninvited from the wedding and essentially disowned by my immediate family. Here is the aftermath. The wedding. I did not attend. However, I have a cousin, Mike, who filled me in. It was a disaster. Because my grandparents had threatened to cut my parents off financially if they didn't start a repayment plan for the stolen money, my parents were stressed the entire time. Apparently, the vibes were horrific. My grandparents attended but refused to take photos with my parents or Sarah. They sat in the front row looking like they were at a funeral. Half the extended family had found out the truth. Grandma doesn't keep secrets, so there was a lot of whispering. Sarah spent her reception crying in the bathroom because the energy was off. The parents. The legal action my mom threatened was a total bluff. They had no leg to stand on. My grandparents followed through on their threat. They restructured their estate. My parents are no longer receiving the monthly gifts they were used to, and any inheritance they do get will have the $28,000 plus interest deducted from it. My parents are now struggling with the debt from the wedding because they don't have the grandparent safety net anymore. They have reached out to me twice. Once on my birthday, a text, "Hope you're happy now that we are struggling," and once when I graduated. I ignored both. Sarah. Sarah's marriage is rocky. Her husband is a decent guy, and he apparently didn't know the money for the wedding was stolen from me until after the honeymoon. He was mortified. He reached out to me privately to apologize. Sarah recently sent me a DM on Instagram, since I blocked her number, asking if I could loan them $2,000 because they're behind on rent. She said, "You're an engineer now, you can afford it, and you owe me for ruining my wedding." I didn't respond, I just blocked her account. My life. I graduated with honors 3 months ago. Because I didn't have to work 3 jobs to pay off loans, thanks to my grandparents covering the tuition, I was able to focus on my capstone project, which actually landed me a job at a great firm in a different state. I moved out, I'm financially independent, and I have 0 student debt. I visit my grandparents once a month. We never really talk about my parents. We just drink tea and talk about my job. They're the only family I have left, and honestly, that's enough for me. It sucks to lose your parents and sister over money, but I realized they didn't just steal my money, they stole my trust, and that's too expensive to buy back. Thanks for listening, Reddit. I'm closing this chapter.